This program is recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. The audio for this program can be heard on WRFP LP 101.9 FM.
Chippewa Valley Community Television presents Your Local Race. Meet the Candidates 2016.
Hello, I'm Bob Brown, News Director at Chippewa Valley Community Television. Welcome to another in our series of interviews with candidates for the Eau Claire City Council. Today we're speaking with Heather DeLuka. She's a candidate in the special election in District 1 to fill the seat of the late David Duax. District 1 is on Eau Claire's north side. Heather, thank you for being here today. And why don't we begin by telling the voters why it is, a little bit about your background and why it is you'd like to serve on the City Council.
Okay, I've lived in the Chippewa Valley for about 40 years. I was a teacher at Chippewa Falls Middle School for 33 years, and I recently retired in 2014. I have lived in my home on the north side for, it starts my 18th year this year. And I have always been active in community since I've been, since I've lived in Eau Claire. And why would I want to serve on the City Council? I guess I was concerned initially about how taxpayer dollars were being used to promote a lot of development, and I wanted to make sure that development should drive itself, and that we should make sure that we're not depending upon the taxpayers too much to promote development within the city. Okay,
all right. What kind of personal qualities do you think you have that you could bring to the council that would help in its deliberations?
I'm a hard worker, and I try to stay informed on whatever issue that might arise. I have done quite a few things in the community before. I was a citizen representative on DECI early when I first moved here. I also was a citizen representative on the comprehensive plan. Not the recent one, but the one prior to that, the 2005 one. And I have done a lot of things with my neighborhood. I was secretary of the Airport Neighborhood Association, and then I became the president. And I've helped build the Walk to School Day at Sam Davies School. And I also was part of the neighborhood coalition that held blues festivals in Owen Park.
Okay. Assuming you are elected to the council, are there anything in particular that you're really looking forward to accomplishing in your first term?
I guess my main goal for running is to support my constituents in the north side, make sure they have their fair share of representation on the council. I want to make sure that anything that affects our district is that they are well informed of that, and also to make sure that whatever concerns they might have, I can bring that voice for them to the council.
Okay. Are there any issues in specific you think that are particularly important for the District 1 residents?
Right now there's some concerns with East Melby Road as it connects to the bypass, and the amount of truck traffic and how it chews up the road. We also have whatever we can do with train issues. There's a lot of whistleblowing that comes between Melby and Eddy and the VFW that kind of affects the quality of life. So I'd be looking into doing something possibly with that. And of course we have some issues with the airport, not so much lately, but whenever they have developments, it does affect our neighborhood.
Okay. There are many different aspects to city government that the council oversees: is the budgeting process, economic development issues, planning commission, parks. Of those areas and any others you can think of in the city that you feel you could be particularly helpful in based on your background or your interests?
Well, of the committees that they have in the city, I guess Waterways and Parks would be one that I'd be very interested in. The Library Board, also Transit. One of the reasons I moved to Eau Claire versus living in the city of Chippewa Falls where I worked as a teacher, I chose Eau Claire because of the transit that is available. If I get to the point where I can't drive or I don't want to drive, I can always hop a bus and go places in Eau Claire. So I'd be interested in working on those. I also was pretty instrumental with a group of citizens in bringing forth the road that goes by Phoenix Park, that access road. Initially that wasn't there, and we were concerned that the police and fire department wouldn't have any access, so a citizen group worked very hard on that Phoenix Park Road area, and a lot of times people have said thanks for doing that, because it actually has made it a positive.
Okay. Are there any actions that the council has taken in the recent past that you found yourself particularly strongly supportive of?
Well, when the Xcel Energy rate hike came, asking for a change in how they were going to apply that rate, I was a little disappointed that my representative voted for it to be flat across the board rate. I believe that if you use the energy, you should pay for the energy. And I think it would have been a little bit more detrimental to people who are living on a fixed income, and so that and the TIF money that was going out for a lot of development. I have some concerns with this new asking of $2 million for additional TIF to generate, to build up the part next to the ramp. I think if development is warranted, it will drive itself. I don't think we need to be sponsoring a lot of that. I wasn't really all on board with the Confluence project initially. I thought it's more important to get the money up front before you start such a major development. We had kind of the same thing happen up at the Waterford project up on Main Street, and jumping too quickly and not having everything prepared. I'm glad to see that the community has supported it and helped and stepped up. I was a little surprised that they didn't put the theater kind of where the student housing is, because you could walk out your hotel, go across the street, and you'd be right at the theater, and there's bars there and restaurants kind of right in that area or locale. It also would allow you to have, if you really wanted to do an indoor, you could do what the Twin Cities does and put a skyway, a short little skyway versus this long bridge that they're talking about. I understand they wanted some river view, frontage, but it seems like how big the project actually is. You could have gone down and around the corner and still had your theater on the river.
I guess it's a little late to change that.
Yes, it is. I was just a little surprised about that,
Right,
that they wouldn't do that. But I'm glad to see that the community has stepped up, and my fear, I guess, is the long term.
Right.
You've got a nonprofit now in charge of the theater. What if 5 or 10 years that nonprofit goes defunct? Then what happens? Who picks up the slack? Who takes care of it? It ends up being the taxpayers. So just a little nervous about that.
Leads into my next question, which is the budget challenges that are facing not only the city council, but just about any unit of government in recent years, as money from state and federal sources has continually been on the decline. Units of government of all kinds are trying to figure out how do they meet the needs, the desires of their constituencies while still maintaining within their budgetary restraints. How, when you're trying to balance that, walk that line between what your constituents want and what the city's finances allow for, what's your approach in terms of how to walk that line?
I know that a lot of places will raise fees because if I need to put a roof on or I need to put a water heater or something in my home, I'm the one making the repairs or the upgrade, I should pay the fee. So if the fees need to go up a little bit, I'd be okay, because then you're affecting the person who is in need of the service. I still think that our police and fire and snow plows definitely have to be our top priority. Parks are important because that's everyone's recreational. There are some parks that they can't keep the bathrooms open. So you get to a park and you realize that there's no place for you to use the facilities. Those kinds of things. I definitely would look to cut any excess. I know that in teaching, when we were looking for cutting, we looked at travel. Why should, understandably you have to travel to learn new ideas, but I don't think every individual city council person needs, $1,000 or $2,000 to travel on. Make it a rotating. A District 1 and an at-large person, they travel this year. District 2 and an at-large travel next year. That way you're still getting ideas, but you can use that money for something else. That's, almost $20,000, so.
Okay, all right. In the time we have left, other things about yourself that you'd like the voters to know, to keep in mind as they're entering that voting booth on April 5th?
Well, I definitely feel that I would be a voice for our district. I have lived there a long time. I understand some of the things that have occurred or happened in that area. I've had requests to the neighborhood association for various things going on in the neighborhood, so I still have a connection that way. I know that I would be a strong voice for my constituents, and I don't have problems taking phone calls from constituents if they want to call me about a problem. They always say that. Be
careful what you ask for.
I know. If you get one or two calls, then it's something to pay attention to. If you get more than 5, then it's something you had better be checking out and looking into yourself and doing some research and so forth. I do understand. I might not always be home, but if you leave me a message, I always call you back.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, Heather DeLuka, candidate for the District 1 seat in the Eau Claire City Council. Appreciate your being here today and appreciate your tuning in to watch. I hope you'll turn to Channel 999 on the local cable system to see all of our interviews with candidates for the Eau Claire City Council, as well as those for the Eau Claire School Board and the Eau Claire County Board, and also the candidates for the District 1, the Branch 1 seat in Eau Claire County Circuit Court. You can also see those interviews on our website. That's cvctv.org. They're available there on demand. Hopefully you'll view them all, become an informed voter, and get out and do your civic duty on April 5th. Go to the polls, vote for the candidates of your choice. That night, beginning at 7 p.m., you can tune in to Channel 994 to see all the latest results as they come in. Thank you for watching.
This program was recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. Chippewa Valley Community Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067 or on the web at www.cvctv.org.